And this is the video right here. I was I caught like the first minute of it, but I wanted to watch it with y'all though. So pretty much what this video is, and shout out to bro. First of all, shout out to the person that made this video and stuff like that. Definitely shout out to him. I think he makes a lot of Call of Duty. Yeah, he makes a lot of Call of Duty content and stuff like that. So right up our daggone alley. You feel me?
So there's an
This is pretty much another video talking about aim assist is too powerful. Should they finally do something about it? So what I'm assuming with him saying that right there, with him just saying that, I'm assuming, and granted I did watch like a minute of the video, so I already know where it's going to lead to. Keyboard and mouse players, y'all know how we feel, or at least how I feel about keyboard and mouse players. The debate that keeps on being debated. I don't know why it keeps on being a debation, but people want to keep on saying, oh my gosh, the aim assist is too strong on Call of Duty. They need to nerf it and blah, 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 and all this old stuff. Y'all know me where I stand at when it comes to those type of people that say that. I look at it like this. That's just like me going on CSGO with a controller, knowing daggone well I'm going to be at a disadvantage. And I sit there and complain about it. When I could just easily pick up that input and just, if you can't beat them, join them. You feel me? Like, simple as that. Because I know if I was to sit here and make videos about CSGO and all these other games, because the majority of these other games is pretty much keyboard and mouse dominant. Can controller players just have one game where we're the dominant input? Like, god damn, we just need one. Y'all got all these other games. CSGO, Valorant, Apex Legend, Rainbow Siege, Fortnite, Marvel's Rivals. We was playing Marvel Rivals. For about 3 months. We doing ranking everything. And then once I ever complain about, oh, I'm playing on controller, so I'm at a disadvantage, blah, 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 woe is me and all this. So, no, I didn't complain about it because I knew what I was getting myself into. The dominant input is keyboard and mouse on Marvel Rivals. I myself decided to play on controller, so I have to deal with whatever comes with me playing on controller. So if I'm at a disadvantage, I'm at a disadvantage, but I ain't gonna sit here and complain about it. But when it comes to these keyboard and mouse players, Lord have mercy. They complain about aim assist so daggone much when it comes to Call of Duty. It's like, bro, I think aim assist is the last thing we need to be worried about right now when it comes to Call of Duty. I mean, we're talking about Call of Duty BO6 right now, a game that's still on what month we are on Call of Duty BO6? Month 6, month 7? A game that's very heavily hacked, cheaters, all the galore, all this other, and y'all worried about aim assist. That's the last thing we need to be worried about. But nonetheless, though, man, definitely shout out to him because I want to hear what he has to say. God damn, this video 19 minutes long. Let's see what he got to say. Juan, what's going on? Trevor, where you been at, my boy? Goddamn, Trevor, I ain't seen you in a long ass goddamn time. Don't forget about Overwatch. Yeah, Overwatch 2 as well. Another game that's primarily dominated by keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse players got all these games that's dominated by them. And now, you know, Call of Duty is the only game out there for the most part. Call of Duty and Halo. You know, games like that is like pretty much the only game. Who the hell is playing Halo? But Call of Duty and Halo is like pretty much the only games out there where, you know, the dominant input is controller for once in the time. For once. And you got all these keyboard and mouse players say, that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, is it fair for CSGO to be dominated by keyboard and mouse? Is that fair? No. But do we complain about it? No, we don't. We just don't play the game. We don't play the game. It's simple as that. Either use input that everybody else is using so you can have the same advantages as everybody else, or don't play the game. It's simple as that. If you don't play Call of Duty, you're not missing nothing. You ain't missing nothing at all. I'm trying to tell you. Let's watch this.
In Call of Duty specifically, but first-person shooters in general. And that is the debate between controller and mouse and keyboard, specifically with aim assist. When we talk about Call of Duty, when we talk about aim assist, when we talk about controllers, what we're really a lot of times getting into is whether or not the controller, the inputs are balanced. The reality is the inputs are not balanced. They're not balanceable, right? They will never be the same. They both have different strengths and different weaknesses. When it comes to aiming, really the best input is mouse and keyboard. Now, I say that having over 30 years of experience playing first-person shooters with mouse and key. At the same time, there's a lot of benefits to playing on controller. Aside from it being more comfortable and a little bit easier to use,
that's the main reason why I use it.
It's easier to drive vehicles. It's easier to handle certain functions, being slow, being more accurate with how you walk. These things can be very beneficial to play on controller. However, when it comes to aiming, not so much. Again, I've got experience on that too, because I've played mouse and keyboard in first-person shooters for the last 27 years, ever since GoldenEye came out for the N64.
Goddamn.
So when it comes to playing games on both inputs, I've been there and I've done that. So when we look at the question of whether or not, A, does aim assist belong in games?
Yes, it
and
does.
B, is it overpowered? The answer is actually yes and yes.
Yes, aim assist belongs in games. Aim assist belongs in games. I'm sorry. Aim assist belongs in games. I don't care if anybody say aim assist belongs in games. We deserve to have aim assist. You know what I'm saying? And for the people out there that wants to say, well, it's too strong, it's not fair for us keyboard and mouse players and stuff like that, then stop playing on keyboard and mouse then. Like, that's the only argument I'm going to give you, and that's the only argument that's going to stand with me. So just stop playing it. Like, once again, I've been wanting for the longest to play a game like PUBG. I've been wanting for the longest to play a game like CSGO. But those games, you have to use keyboard and mouse to get the full functions to everything working. That's why I ain't never played those games. I'm not complaining about it. I just can't play the game because there's a different input that I need to use, and I'm not finna use it. Simple as that. Just won't play the games. I'm not missing nothing out of it. So goddamn, when I see people sit here and complain about Call of Duty, the one game that finally controllers have a advantage over any other input out there, it's just all this complaining. It's like, bro, it's not that hard for you to learn controllers. Stop it. If you can learn this bullshit ass keyboard and mouse ass shit, you can learn controller. Well, how can you say that? Well, first of all, every time I argue with a keyboard and mouse player, they always, first thing they say out their mouth is, oh, playing on controller is so easy. All right, if it's so easy, then just play it then. Like, I never understood that argument right there, because the first thing they're going to say is, oh, you're playing on a controller, man. You a puss, man. Easy as it. I play a real keyboard. Oh, bro, if it's that easy, then why am I putting belt to ass on you? Make that make sense. If you're playing on such the superior input, then why am I whooping your ass right now? Oh, because you have aim assist. Okay, well, if I have aim assist and you say that the input that I'm playing on right now is so easy that your child can use it, why are you not using it? Why do you still put yourself through the constant headache of using the keyboard and mouse on a game like Call of Duty? Because it's unrealistic to use controller on Call of... Bro, when has Call of Duty, the game itself, been looked as a realistic shooter? Like, now you're just going down a different, dark Twitter page, Trump volume type bullshit. I'm finna go deaf ear on you. I'm sorry. Austin, yo! What's going on with you, Austin? Wish I didn't have to clock back for a break because I'm chilling and watching the stream. See you later, gang. See you later, gang. Nothing much playing some Fortnite. What he said, it's not easy. It's hard for me because I haven't used them. What you talking about? It's hard for you? What, keyboard and mouse or a controller?
Hold on. Everyone who didn't just tune out and leave an angry note in the comments, or a positive one, if you decide to. What do I mean by it is not only required, but it's overpowered? Well, here's the thing. When you look at how controllers work versus how mouse and key works for aiming, we're going to talk aiming specifically in first-person shooter games. When you look at how aiming works, right, you have to take your crosshair and you have to move it around the screen, and you have to turn around and you have to find the enemy and you have to...
I'm sorry, bro. I got too many examples, bro. You know what this is also like putting an example to? This is like me going on iRacing using keyboard and mouse when everybody else is using a steering wheel, and I complain about, oh, all y'all using steering wheels and I'm using keyboard and mouse. This is so unfair. Then why use it then? Why are you sitting there trying to drive a vehicle with keyboard and mouse when everybody else is doing this? Everybody else is doing this. Like, why would you do it? Like, it just don't make no sense to me. Why would you do it? Like, you know it's the better one, so why would you not pick it up and use it? It's as simple as that. Like, goddamn.
Shoot the enemy, right? And you have to be able to track the enemy as they move. On controller, you do that by moving the thumbstick, and you move the thumbstick, you know, you can see it only goes so far in any given direction. And that movement translates onto the screen through what we call sensitivity. So the higher the sensitivity, the faster the movement. And so, but on controller, you have that sensitivity is a maximum speed, right? So a sensitivity of 20 would be the maximum speed, would just set a consistent rotation that you have on your controller. That's how fast you can spin it. You cannot go any faster than that. The problem with a fast speed is while you can rotate quickly, you a lot of times can't stop fast enough. You can't see what you're doing fast enough. And so you are unable to stay on target and shoot your targets. A slow speed, however, is often, can be very accurate, right? You can be very precise as you slowly move to your target. However, if your target's moving, the odds that you were able to stay on target and actually catch up to your target is very low, right? Unless the target is standing perfectly still, not looking at you, they're going to just walk to the side and you won't be able to target them. So most people find a happy medium. A lot of, very popular.
Hey, chat. Hey, ask me this question real quick. All right, ask me this question real quick. I think we all can relate to this, all right? If you was tinkering with your car and there was a strip bolt and you had Exhibit A, some vice grips, or Exhibit B, your fingernails, which ones would you use to try to pull out that strip bolt? Like, come on now. Which one you gonna use? So once again, if you know that keyboard and mouse is under, is not to the same level as controller when it comes to, we're just talking about Call of Duty here. We ain't talking about no other game. Call of Duty, then why would you use that input?
In Call of Duty, with the speed of 7, right? As 7 sensitivity, very common. It provides that good balance of fast enough to rotate and get to your target, but slow enough that you have control over it. However, in Call of Duty specifically, that's not, that creates the problem of how do you rotate with a player? How do you stay on target? When you look at how the thumbsticks work, right? You have a couple of different things going on that control aiming, right? So you have your human response. How long does it take for you as a person to react to what you see on screen? Plus, how long it takes you remove the thumbstick from center to its extremity, and then
I like
the
that word
game
you
actually
use,
won't just instantly start moving you. It does so gradually, right? So we have what's called an acceleration curve, and there's a couple of different options, and they all do different things. But at the end of the day, it takes you from moving from 0
to 100,
slowly speeding up to maximum. Okay. All of this means being able to turn your character.
I'm good, gang. How about yourself, Austin? How you doing, my boy? Blessings, bro.
Across your screen is somewhat limited, and you are definitely limited on how fast that target can be moving, and you can stay on top of them. Mouse and key, on the other hand, is a instantaneous one-to-one response to how quickly you move your hand. So if you take your hand and you move it slowly, your character will turn slowly. If you move it quickly, your character will move quickly. All right? And because it's one-to-one, when you move and stop, with enough practice, you can be very good at moving a very specific amount of rotation.
Iris, what's going on
very,
with you,
very quickly.
What's going on with you, gang?
And you can have very quick, snappy aim and extremely quick rotation of your character. Something you generally can't get on a controller. So in order to create a balance, right, where both of these can be competitive, because in their raw formats, they're generally not competitive. You can't take a mouse and key and go toe to toe on a controller with two relatively equally skilled people and not have the mouse come out on top 75% of the time or more. All right. The mouse is just better. It is more accurate. It is faster. And it is in its raw form, a far superior aiming tool than a controller is.
Remember, we're talking about video games here, all right? No disrespect to the person that made this video, but remember, we're talking about video games here. All right? You know, virtual reality type shit. Hey, look, that sounds all fine and dandy, what he's saying so far, man. And if you feel that strongly about it, then continue to play with your keyboard and mouse and stop complaining about us controller players. I wish that crossplay would never have existed. I swear to God. I wish that all you know, do it like how the U.S., do it like how the United States does it, man. Keep y'all separated, man. You controller and mouse people, y'all stay over there. Us controller people, we stay over here. Well, Flame Guy, that's not fair. There's not enough controller players to go around. I mean, not enough keyboard and mouse players to go around. We're a small community. Well, either you're going to stop your bitching or you're going to stay your ass over there and just play against other keyboard and mouse players. Because honestly, I don't feel like we should play against y'all. Honestly, I don't feel like, I don't want to play against y'all. We shouldn't have to play against y'all. Y'all should be in your own little utopia bubble, be in your own little ecosystem, and just play amongst each other. All you keyboard and mouse just stay over there and play with each other. It's not my fault that, you know, now, you know, the selection pool is going to be small and now your time waiting to get into a game is going to be longer because there's only so many of y'all. That's not my problem. Y'all need to stay over there somewhere and just let us controller players be over here. Simple as that. I wish crossplay would never had existed.
So to compensate for that and to make the game a bit more fun for controller, because it's not as, you know, they're not quite as fun without aim assist. It's harder to hit shots. They get more frustrating. What they do is they create two forms of aim assist. You have slow down aim assist and you have rotational aim assist. So the slow down aim assist works if you think about a...
So slow down, this is slow down aim assist. This is a character, right? My finger is the, you know, the crosshair or whatever. As you come into proximity of the character, normal speed, slow down, normal speed. That's what that is. And rotational aim assist is just, sometimes y'all see me doing it when I'm just spiraling the left analog stick like in a circle of motion, and that keeps aim assist like activated. Because I'm spiraling it, so I'm constantly moving. As long as you're constantly moving, aim assist is turned on. As soon as you stop moving, it turns off. So long as I'm like constantly doing this with my left analog stick, as soon as somebody runs into my field of view, aim assist is already turned on. Boom, I'm going to get the shot off. That's all that is.
Character model creates a bubble around that character model. Within the bubble, your sensitivity gets dropped down. Mm-hmm. And that lets you be more precise on your movements, right? Mm-hmm. So the same amount of movement of the thumbstick might move the cursor half as much on the screen than it would normally. As a result, you're able to make much finer corrections and have a lot more control over keeping your crosshairs on the target. The other type of aim assist that they have is called rotational aim assist. So the way that rotational aim assist works is that same bubble around your character, right? When your crosshair hits the edge of the bubble, it will follow along and actually somewhat match the speed of the character. The purpose of this is to overcome the physical limitations of the controller, right? You have the delay from going from 0 to extreme. You have the maximum rotational limits of the controller at its extremes. These things make, you know, kind of the close quarters fighting extremely challenging on controller, and for most people probably not a lot of fun because you just don't hit very much because you just can't keep up with someone who's running around you. So rotational aim assist was created way back decades ago for the purpose of allowing controller players to keep up with movement in close proximity, which is great, right? It's the kind of thing that we want to see in a game where you're not outclassed because of the input device that you're playing. However, in Call of Duty specifically, and most modern first-person shooters, this is true. These two forms of aim assist combine to create almost an aimbot. It's not quite. There's a lot of nuance in that.
Bro, even with all these tools and stuff like that, people still suck on controller. Like, they got all these tools right here. People still suck at controller. Like, at the end of the day, if you're good, you're going to be good. You're going to be good with whatever device you use. You're going to be good with no aim assist, max aim assist. You're going to be good. It's just eventually your skills will over challenge any nuances being thrown at you. That's how I look at it. But with the same token, though, you also got to look at it like this, right? Let's look at a geographic demographic scale, right? There's about, when it comes to first person, we're just going to talk about Call of Duty in this sense. About 98, maybe that might be a little too high. I'll say 95. About 95% of the player base is using controller versus 5% of the player base using keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse is a very niche type of input that people use. Why would you think a company like Call of Duty, and I think we all can see here and agree that Activision is one of the most greediest, slummiest, corporations out there in the world. Why would you think that they will sit there and try to please keyboard and mouse players when 95% of their player base is controller players? And let's just look at it from a financial business standpoint. That would be suicidal right there for them to do that shit. They're going to sit there and make sure that the controller players are happy. Because at the end of the day, this game is driven off of casual controller players. You know what I'm saying? Just like with a game like CSGO. They're going to make sure that the keyboard and mouse players are happy. Why? Because that game is driven by keyboard and mouse players. It's as simple as that. I mean, I think anybody, any type of, business mindset will look at the charts and be like, okay, I hear the keyboard and mouse people complaining, but yet 95% of our revenue is coming from controller players. Yeah, you keyboard and mouse, y'all going to have to suck it up. Simple as that.
But it can feel that way. And it creates an effect that I call magnetism. Some people call it sticky aim or stickiness or whatever. Those are kind of sketchy terms, but I call it magnetism. And what it does is that, especially at range, because aim assist wants to follow the center of the aim assist bubble as best as it can, it will actually track that enemy player up, down, left, right, and kind of do those small adjustments for you as the player as you play so that you don't have to make those fine adjustments. The problem with that is that in the hands of someone who's skilled, or at least skilled at not using his thumbstick as much, the game will actually correct a lot of little issues that you have when you play it. And it'll correct it for you. So I want to tune to a video. This is by a buddy of mine, Hexsmith. And I just want to kind of show off some of the aspects that aim assist does, because I want to talk about how we can make it better for everybody. So in this example,
remember, this is Call of Duty that we're talking about. A game that don't even got a properly working anti-cheating. The game is being ran rapid by cheaters and hackers, and we're worried about this right now. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the guy that made this video. I like the video that I'm watching, but I'm just giving my honest opinion about it. We're talking about Call of Duty right now. A game that's, I think we have bigger problems to worry about right now than, aim assist and all this. I think we need to worry about getting these cheaters up out of here first, but I digress.
Example. I want to use this example. I want you to watch how the aim assist corrects for the movement of the player at range. You can see how it just kind of follows along and automatically corrects for the little adjustments that player makes. You can see it here as well. That little rise and fall, right? As the player jumps, the crosshair rises and then follows him back down.
Yep.
That is the rotational aim assist, trying to keep your crosshair at the center of the aim assist bubble. All right. The problem with that is that for skilled players, they have learned and become very good at not using their thumbstick to make those corrections and letting the computer do it for them.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people complain also about the instantaneous response to aim assist. I don't think that you should get rid of that instantaneous response because at the end of the day,
Cause I ain't gonna lie to y'all. When it comes to my controller, right? You know, this is the left thumb and this is the right thumb. When it comes to my controller, bro, and when I'm aiming in, I'm more or less just using my left thumb. This right here, I'm not adjusting nothing. I let the aim assist do everything. I'm just using this. Long as this is moving right here, my aim assist is kicking on. And it's gonna do its job. As long as my left thumb is moving around and doing something, aim assist is gonna be kicked on to its max. When you start trying to aim with this, what you're gonna end up happening and running across is while aim assist is kicking on and you're also trying to aim with your right thumb, now you're kind of like you're making overcorrections that aim assist would have just did for you. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like working harder than what you got to work. And a lot of times it will just throw off your shot and you'll miss. That's how that shit goes.
it provides a consistency in how aim assist works, right? We all remember from Caldera when they had problems with aim assist where every little thing disrupted it and fights were just could be haphazard at best because you just lose aim assist randomly. I don't think changing the timing of it is as helpful to players in general as actually changing what the crosshair tries to find. So right now, as I said, it's trying to find the center of the aim assist bubble. And what's in the center of the aim assist bubble? Your character model, right? So it's always trying to stay right about on center. So when you're at range, for example, it will just kind of hang along about the center of the target. So you can fire the gun, make no small corrections, and as the player moves and tries to dodge your bullets, it will just follow along and continue to hit. Now, a lot of people kind of hear this and they think, well, that's great for bad players, right? That actually will help the bad players hit their shots so they have more fun. And then everybody gets to hit more shots, so everybody gets to have more fun. The reality is bad players, unfortunately,
they're going to stay bad.
Don't usually have a good grasp on settings, so their sensitivities are not well paired to their skill level. And B, they're trying to correct with their thumbsticks what they see on the screen, which means a lot of times they are overcorrecting the aim assist bubble itself. They are overshooting their target, right? They're not making the small micro adjustments.
They're making large ones
that the aim assist will make for you. So they end up missing a lot of shots. Or they aren't moving enough and the players are closer. And so as a lower skilled player, as you try to shoot the player, you're not actually correcting enough to keep up with that player, or your sensitivity is not high enough to keep up with that player. And so you get gassed up close. When you aren't learning to use that aim assist, or that make those fine-tuned corrections to stay on target, and aim assist is doing it for you, like most lower skill players, if they get a kill through it, it's by accident. More than anything else, right? That's really the biggest difference between a low skill player and a high skill players. They miss so many shots, they overcorrect so often, and they're basically blowing out their aim assist bubble, so they don't actually get to land very many shots. Versus a very, very high skill, top 1% player, they don't need aim assist. They actually will be good enough that they can turn it off and run without it. And a lot of them will actually play on mouse and key, or they did play on mouse and key. And so they're used to making the small corrections. So aim assist for them sometimes is a hindrance. They don't need it to play at an ultra high level. Okay?
But with him saying that right there, he said the top 1% can do that and have no aim assist on and blah, 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 right? We're talking about the top 1%. There's a lot of people that's not top 1%. You feel me? So once again, it goes back to my argument of appealing to the masses versus appealing to the very small groups out there. It's just from a business standpoint, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. The masses are casual players, and casual players are just going to pick up a controller. Aim assist is going to do the heavy lifting, and they're going to go on about their merry way. You feel me? Simple as that.
However, the part of the player base that would really be most impacted by it is probably the average skill and slightly above. And what happens is a lot of players at that skill have learned to use the aim assist to take over for them, right? So the aim assist does the small corrections for them. They've learned and adapted their settings and their sensitivities to really let that happen, which means that they actually perform well above their skill level because aim assist will hit their shots for them.
Beautiful.
It'll make those small, minute corrections to track the enemy player and let the aim assist bubble do its thing. As a result, because they're doing so much better than they normally would, it makes it much harder for everybody to survive. Because if you're at that skill level, well, then you can compete somewhat against higher skilled players because the computer is impeccable in its aim assist. Higher skilled players will obviously just dominate everybody. The highest skilled players will dominate everybody. But for low skill, for the bottom half or more, maybe the bottom 70% of the player base, you're going to get deleted so much faster.
I mean, but that's perfectly fine, though, because that's, once again, a skill gap. I mean, that's just like in NASCAR, right? Everybody in NASCAR, for the most part, their cars are all equal. But at the end of the day, you still see the same several people up there battling for the win every single Sunday. Why? Because even though all the cars are equal, these are still, when it comes down to just raw performance and raw talent, these are still the elite drivers out of the field. So everybody's car could be equal, but yet the elite drivers are still going to be at front. I mean, that's just how it works, man. That's just nature right there. Everybody can have the same tools, man, but the elite guys is still going to outperform the average guys. So changing aim assist is not going to change nothing. Changing aim assist and turn it off, the elite guys are still going to be at top, and the subpar and medium tier guys are still going to be at the bottom. Add aim assist, once again, the elite guys are still going to be at top, and the subpar middle of the ground, they still going to be at the bottom. Nothing is going to change. Skill is still going to outperform whatever you throw at it. It's still going to do it.
Because most people are not missing as many shots. And aim assist will give a lot of players those happy little accidents where they would normally miss, but aim assist corrects for them, and they're still hitting their shots. So even though, if they were to make some changes, I'll talk about what I think the best change that they could make in a minute is. If they make some changes, the lowest skill brackets will probably see no difference in terms of how many kills they get. But what they will see a difference is their survivability. Their ability to evade and to run away from a gunfight that they're losing and survive would go up dramatically. Now,
see, I don't like that. I don't like that. If this guy sucks, why got to put me in a situation when you know I'm the better player? Why you want to put me in a situation where it gives this guy a fighting chance? He sucks. I should be able to put belt to ass to him every single time I see him. Don't give him no fighting chance. No, he sucks. It's not my fault that he doesn't understand the concept of how this shit works. That's not my problem. That's life. God damn. Man, we live in a world where everybody's trying to give that. Man, look, if you suck, bro. That's not my problem. I'm sorry, but you just don't get it. It is what it is. Try something else, man.
Now that bracket of players that are better than average, but they're not excellent, and they're playing at an excellent level because the aim assist is helping them so much, would probably be hit the hardest, and they would see a very large reduction in kills in a game because they're not making the small adjustments. They're relying on aim assist. And the highest skill players would see no difference. They would just adjust to it. They would adapt, and they would just continue on. But the vast majority of players who do get deleted from the lobby very quickly would probably live a lot longer and probably ultimately have more fun, even if they hit fewer shots, because to be honest, most of those players only get 1 or 2 kills a game anyways. And so the net negative to them is much less. But how would you do this? I don't think changing the way rotational aim assist follows an aim assist bubble is the right thing. Changing the timing, doing instantaneous response, that sort of thing, that's not it. What you have to do is you have to take your bubble around your character model, and the follow is at the extremities, okay? It will track in front of a player or it'll track behind a player, and it's up to the player to make the small adjustments to either catch up to the target or pull back to the target or follow the target when it goes back or forth within that bubble. If the last mile minute adjustments are on the player itself and not being accomplished through aim assist, that stickiness, that magnetism that people are so eager to accomplish by not having to aim as much wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't see that nearly as much.
It's hot.
And so the way it triggers to follow somebody, that instantaneous trigger, that movement, wouldn't be nearly as impactful because you still have to make those fine-tuned adjustments to hit your shots. And I think that's the change we need to push to correct aim assist and kind of bring it more in balance, not just for our mouse and keyboard friends, to give them a better experience, but to give the bulk of the player base more survivability, more ability to exist in the game and not get deleted immediately.
I hear what he's saying, but we're talking about Call of Duty, a game where people die within milliseconds. The TTK in this game is already like non-existence. You know what I'm saying? So it's still like, bro, just leave the shit alone. That's what I say. Just leave the shit alone. Either people are going to adapt to it or they still going to struggle. It is what it is, man. That's just my argument. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't even know why it's just such a big argument when it comes to this, but yet we don't have this argument when it comes to, like, once again, a game like CSGO. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people out there that would love to play CSGO, but they don't play keyboard and mouse. They play controller. So they say, what's the point of me playing this game when you had to play it on keyboard and mouse? We just don't play the game. We don't complain about it. We don't make videos about it. We just don't play the game. I would love to play CSGO and try it out, but I know that you have to use a keyboard and mouse input to be somewhat decent at the game, and I'm just not going to use that. So why use it? Why play it? Same thing with Marvel Rivals when we was playing it for 3 months. I played it the whole time on controller. Did not complain not once. When it came to keyboard and mouse players and going against them, all right, I know what I signed up for. It is what it is. I'm going to use my controller. I know what I signed up for. I know what's the more superior input, and I'm going to carry on about my day.
Especially with the TTKs they are right now. The biggest problem we have is that the computer will help you delete somebody without you having to work hard. And that's something we got to fix. And that's it.
Hey, shout out to the guy that made this video. I don't want to work hard in Call of Duty. Especially when there's a cheating problem going on. I don't want to have to work hard in Call of Duty. But definitely shout out to him. I'm going to subscribe to him. Definitely shout out to him. Subbone KD. Definitely shout out to him. Definitely shout out to him. Definitely shout out to him. Anywho. Let me do this real quick. Damn, it's 1 o'clock already. God damn. I'm gonna do this real quick.